What's up everyone? Welcome to today's video. We are in front of Akihabara's newest game store. It's all the way out in a corner. It's called Rare Item Studio. I passed by here a while ago completely by accident and I went inside, and as you can see, it's a very nice little shop. They've got every kind of stuff from vinyl, books, strategy guides, video games, and a lot of soundtrack, a lot of video game soundtrack. So without further ado, let's go get hungry. So let's go into narration mode because this store was super quiet and the atmosphere was actually really pleasant. It was actually a nice break from the loud megaphone blaring stores that you're used to in Akihabara or the never-ending Heart of jingle. But nevertheless, let's take a look at this main section that they have in front here. Oh, and by the way, this video was actually filmed over the course of 2 live streams. Remember, we are live every weekend on twitch.tv/4amlaundry. On the bottom shelf of this front section is some really random stuff. Here's Mario Kart Double Dash, Rockman 4 for the Famicom. Like I said, if you do plan to visit this store, be sure to dig into every nook and cranny because there is good stuff everywhere. And it also makes it a really fun browsing experience. Here's Hercules for the Famicom. It really makes the whole thing a bit of a treasure hunt, so to speak. It's really cool. Here's Rockman 04. I'm actually not sure if this is a good Rockman or not. At 10,000 yen, it better be. But I've never played it. I'm not too sure. Here is Rave Racer, the Ridge Racer soundtrack project soundtrack. I'm not too sure about soundtracks. I'm not a big soundtrack guy, but like I said, this store heavily focused on them. Here's Darius in the back there, Sega Rally next to it. It's good stuff. If you're into soundtracks, this is definitely one of the first spots you should check out in Tokyo. The top shelf seems to be a welcome collection of DS and 3DS games, where this is one of my favorites, the lesser talked about Metal Max 2 Reloaded. Always fun to find Metal Max games. Then next to it is the Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Now remember, this is Japan and these games are only available in Japanese, so if you're intending to play some of these, it might be best to stay away from the text-heavy games such as RPGs or Legend of Zelda. To the left of the entrance is a lot of PlayStation, PC Engine, and other CD-based games. So here was kind of a big surprise. The first game I pick out on this shelf just happens to be a sealed game. It's too hard for the PlayStation 1. I don't know too much about it. It's a dating sim, but it didn't have a price on it, and I was really curious to see what price they would give this. The store is actually new enough to the point where not every single item is priced yet, and they'll price it at the counter. So stick around till the end of the video if you wanted to see what kind of price they would give a sealed game in this store. Here's the Legend of Mana, beautiful with the spine card, everything in mint condition. The games that do have prices are very well detailed in what the condition of the box or the label is. It's definitely a store run by people that know what collecting is like. Here's Wizardry Empire 2, and it just keeps surprising me how many people don't know that Wizardry is a massive franchise here in Japan. Here's the international version of Final Fantasy VII. It has some updates and changes to the game, but it is not in English. It's a common misconception. And 1,500 isn't what I would say cheap, but it's not a terrible price. Remember, this store is in the heart of Akihabara, and it is a mom and pop shop. You're not going to find bottom of the barrel, hard off prices. They do curate their selection.
Final Fantasy VII 始動。
PlayStation
Now this is a game that I rarely see, if ever. This is Bokan Desuyo. It's from the Time Bokan series, and it's a real treat to find this in mint condition for 9,000 yen. It's a really good shoot 'em up for the PlayStation 1. I think it's based on an anime because it has a lot of cutscenes, but it's a really fun game that it's definitely worth a try. And here's another one of those obscurities. This is Seireki 1999 Faro no Fukatsu, and it's by Lobotomy Software. What a name. It's a Doom style Egypt-based first-person shooter. I don't know if it's on the Doom engine or not, but it looks super interesting. I can't say I've ever played it, but it looks right up my alley. Love me a good boomer shooter, which I guess back then was just a shooter. Here is Burger 2 for a eye-watering 12,000 yen. That is a lot for a PlayStation game, but this is one of the rarer ones, and they just also happen to have the first Burger. Look at that, both of them. And it was actually 3,700, more than fair. I was actually considering getting this at this store. Now, Burger is actually a burger shop, fast food franchise, real-time strategy simulator type game. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's kind of like the Kombini series that we find a lot on this channel. One of my favorite games that really is never talked about. But this is similar, and again, right up my alley. But I think a lot of old video games are right up my alley. Probably because I just like old video games. Anyway, here is one of my favorite games on the PC Engine. It is Dragon Spirit, a shoot 'em up where you shoot people, but instead of an airplane, you're a dragon. And when you power up, you just get another head. That's the power up. You just grow more heads and shoot people with fireballs. It's awesome. You should play it. Next to all of this is a glass section with different games and rarities, but on top of it, I could not pass over the Cowboy Bebop DVD box set. Look how beautiful this box set is. Cowboy Bebop being my absolute #1 favorite anime, maybe next to Steins Gate. But they also had all of these cool little gacha. These were all Dragon Quest themed. And underneath it, there was a bunch of rare stuff. Here is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Super Famicom. Metroid Zero Mission in the back there. Final Fantasy V for the Game Boy Advance, and underneath there were some WonderSwan color games. Cool to find those. And underneath is where they had all of the really rare PlayStation 1 stuff. There's a Pokemon soundtrack in the back there, which I didn't notice when I was filming this. 22,000 yen. And a sealed Johnny Bazooka tome. A really cool shooting platformer for the PlayStation 1. Definitely recommend checking that one out. Like I said, this store is heavy on the soundtracks, and I love that about it. They have a lot of these little singles, and these are basically little GameCube shaped discs containing 1 to 4 songs. These are also known as 8cm CDs, and my favorite one is the Pokemon Snap music collection that came bundled with a Japanese N64. A little trivia there. Here is the Final Fantasy V soundtrack. It has a small selection of songs on it, including the opening sound that you're listening to right now. Now, living up to their name of Rare Item Studio, they don't just have video games. Here is a Super Mario RPG promotional VHS. This was really cool, priced at 8,000 yen. I don't think I've ever seen this before in the wild. Now, they also obviously have normal soundtracks all across the wall and all over the store. The more you look, the more stuff pops out that you're gonna find. They really had a surprising amount of stuff for how small this location is, including all of these really cool posters on the wall. I forgot to ask if these were for sale, but yeah, no, super cool stuff. Now, since we cannot have a video without wrestling or train-related content, here's the Beatmania soundtrack, modeled after WWF. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm actually quite a bit of a record collector. I have a lot of records back home that to this day I'm just unable to ship to Japan because they're over 200 records and they weigh a lot. But it was very nice to see that they also carry a big collection of anime and video game related vinyl records. But since we are the retro video game hunting channel, let's get back to those retro video games. Here is Fire Pro Joshi All-Star Dreamcast. It's the first Joshi Pro Wrestling game on the Super Famicom. There's actually 2 of them, and it features an all-female cast. It's a really good game. I recommend it. Very fun little spin-off. So next to wrestling games is everyone's favorite genre, train games. Densha to Go on the DS for 5,500 yen. Next to a European Mario Kart. I wondered why the box was thicker than the other ones, and yeah, no, I don't know specifically which country this came out of because they were all kind of made in Germany, and most European DS games of this era were in English. Now, being the Mario Kart fan that I am, I had to pick this up. This was a English version of Mario Kart. I don't have this yet. I used to back in the day, and it's instant pickup. Good stuff. More randomly scattered common games in great condition. Here is Fire Emblem for the Famicom. I've never played this as the Famicom versions of Fire Emblem were a Japanese exclusive and I never just really got that familiar with it. But I am familiar with the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I gotta say 5,000 yen is a bit steep, but the box condition was really mint. Here's Neon Genesis Evangelion for 25,000 yen, a N64 game that is absolutely not worth the plastic that the cartridge is molded in, but hey, it's a rare game. Here's Marvel Super Heroes War of the Gems, and it is a beat 'em up for the Super Famicom. It's a Capcom beat 'em up. You can't go wrong. This isn't my favorite one, but it's a Marvel themed Capcom beat 'em up. I don't think there's a bad game in this series. There's better ones and there's worse ones, but I enjoy them all. Common name Hot. From the right side, it's a PSP port of Metal Slug Double X. I've played this. I do remember enjoying this game. I could never tell if it was stretched out 16:9 or actual 4:3, but 12-year-old me didn't care. He just played the game, which 35-year-old me should be doing anyway. Now, in front of the cashier was my absolute favorite part of the store. They had this crate full of miscellaneous manuals, game guides. Did I say miscellaneous right? I didn't know, English isn't my first language, but they had all of these really cool little booklets and magazine excerpts and little guides and really cool stuff. I ended up browsing through these a lot as this is one of my favorite part about collecting Japanese stuff. Japanese is still a language that I'm continuously learning, so I love reading, and video game stuff is usually written in furigana, which means you can learn the kanji as you go, kanji being Chinese characters. Let's not go into detail too much, but this was interesting. A Pokemon stamp book. This is basically a collection of stamps that were released back in the day. It wasn't complete, it didn't have all the stamps in it, but I didn't care. This was an instant pickup for me. It's the kind of stuff that you just don't find in your regular hard off or book off, and I don't think I'll ever find all of the stamps for this, but the fact that this was just here was, yeah, this was a really good find. Here is a Super Mario RPG little guidebook. I believe this came into a issue of V-Jump magazine, and it's a little bit of fan art, it's game guides. It's actually, if you flip it over, it becomes a Dragon Quest VI game guide, and I just love this kind of stuff. I wish the magazine that this came in was also available. That's probably why I didn't get it. Here's a Dragon Quest 7 sticker sheet with some memory card labels, and sure, I've seen these at hard off and other thrift stores before, but like this Pokemon guidebook, it's really cool to have them in one place, and especially if you guys are traveling to Japan, you're not gonna have the time to go to a million thrift stores and find all of this stuff. So I think this one place in the center of Tokyo is kind of a hidden gem to find stuff like this. Now, this was interesting. I thought this was a manual at first, but this is actually an Ocarina of Time little quick start guide / guidebook to the first couple levels. It came with 64 Dream, the N64 version of Nintendo Dream. And here's a random Pocket Monsters notebook that a kid was coloring in. Speaking of Pokemon, here's a gold and silver little introduction / guidebook to the game. It had a check mark so you can check which of the Pokemon you caught, a little unknown alphabet translation thingamajig. Hey, and while you're here, did you know that every single video that we upload on this channel has a giveaway? There's stuff that I found in this store that you can win simply by just leaving a comment. Mention something that I found in the store on the video. If it's something that caught your attention, it doesn't matter. As long as it's related to the video, And you don't even have to mention the giveaway. I'll pick out the comment and announce it on my Discord. Same goes over at Twitch. I'm streaming a lot these days, which if you're wondering why there's been a lack of videos, my apologies. But yeah, live streaming is just super time intensive, especially when you do it outside in Japan. But there's also constantly giveaways on that channel as well. So check out twitch.tv/4amlaundry and maybe you could be the next winner of a package containing candy, games, and whatever. Remember, this channel is still ad-free and I'd like to keep it that way, so watching the streams and engaging in my video is just the best way to support. Here's a magazine called Game Boy Fan. I thought this was really cool. I've never heard of Game Boy Fan. It was super small and I should definitely have picked this up. Now, all of these crates contain video games and video game peripherals like this sealed memory card holder, including a branded memory card from Final Fantasy X-2. And for my loyal fans, a SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 featuring ECW. Man, I love pro wrestling games. They're really fun. You guys should really try them. Here's SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, another pro wrestling game. I picked these up because I thought I didn't have them, and it turns out I did. So I didn't end up picking these up. Just a note, this stuff isn't considered junk. It's just common stuff that they either haven't put on shelves yet or there's no space for it. But yeah, here is a Final Fantasy IV soundtrack in pretty good condition. Had the spine card inside. The crate next to it also had a bunch of posters and magazine cutouts. And down here we actually found a almost complete collection of Pure Pure. I've talked about these before. This is the PlayStation 1 version of it. They are essentially a magazine on disc containing trailers and demos for upcoming PlayStation games of the time. Now, in what I initially thought to be a bunch of Famicom and Sega cartridges were also a bunch of Atari 2600 cartridges. Now, the Atari 2600 was released in Japan to my knowledge. I'm just not entirely sure what the story there is, and these cards look to straight up just be American. I'm sure they didn't translate any of it because I don't see any need for it. I'm not that big of a loose card collector. To me, it really is about boxes and manuals and peripherals and all this cool stuff, and I'll just play the game on a flash card if I can't find it. I also seem to have missed an American NES card over there, if you see it. And when I said there are games and other stuff hidden everywhere in this store, I meant it. There are crates everywhere, even under the table. This is where the soundtracks were. And underneath were just a ton of PlayStation 1 games, Sega Saturn games. This is Daytona USA. I actually realized that I didn't have that yet. I have a different version of this. So I just immediately decided to pick this up. I don't know what he charged for this. I think it was like 1,000 yen, which is about what this goes for online. And it had the spine card and everything. So no brainer for me. I believe this was a Club Nintendo exclusive DS card holder. I'm not too sure about this. It might be a stylus holder. There were a bunch of Club Nintendo exclusives back in the day. I remember having a bunch of those. I could go on for hours with these crates. There is so much to find. But yeah, the video would be like 2 hours long if I showed the entirety. The VOD, I'll link it in the description because, as I said, these were live streams. And you could just go back and look at all of that unedited raw footage. Of course, after you've watched the entirety of this video. Now, this corner is really fun. This took me by surprise. This is a Super Famicom cart holder, but it's an entire cabinet. I've seen the smaller ones, but I've never seen a big cabinet like that holds all of these carts. This is pretty cool. They were asking 5,000 for it, which I would say that's really fair because I never see these things. And next to it were just a stack of boxed PC Engine peripherals. Here's a multi-tap, a controller. These are third-party controllers by Hori, and here's an official one. It's they just kept going and going. Here is Sweetie Pie Special for the 3DO. Be sure to check out the Patreon for gameplay footage of that. Can't show that on YouTube. Patreon.com/4amlaundry. There's extra footage too. I go through the whole stamp book that I find in this store. And another randomly scattered N64 card case. I've seen these a lot for the Super Famicom. I've never seen them for the Nintendo 64. This was really cool. I think they wanted like 800 yen for this, but I'm not too sure. But I am sure about this High Saturn. This was really, really cool. Another really cool find at the bottom of these shelves. It's just a complete High Saturn in a box. A special edition, 75,000 yen. And as you can see, I'm literally almost crawling down looking for stuff at this point. All of these Famicom magazines were 1,500 yen a piece. I didn't have time to go through them all, but just another one of those really cool finds in this store. Here's a Dreamcast press. Yeah. And there you have it. Rare Item Studio in Akihabara. Super cool, super fun little store that we just completely came by chance. Be sure to check out all of their social media as well. You can send them a message on Instagram to see if they have special items. Tell them I sent you. Thank you so much for letting me film in your store. I ended up getting all of this, as well as Final Fantasy VII International and Sega Rally, which I got on a different day. Remember, this is a store run by a local couple in the heart of Akihabara, and I think the prices are actually very fair, especially when you compare them to stores like Super Potato or even the Hard Off that is nearby. Those places have just completely gone off the rails with what they're charging for some of this stuff. And be sure to check out their Instagram specifically. They actually post every time they put a new item out on the floor, and you can see that. You can send them a message. I think they'll even hold it for you if you're nearby and you want to get it. If you like this video, be sure to check out this other one that I did on Friends, a old school retro game shop that has closed last year, and it was also just a big part of Akihabara, which was actually pretty nearby this store. This is me giving them a 5-star review on Google. And again, if you wondered where I've been the last month, be sure to check out my Twitch channel. I'm live a lot. I go game hunting a lot, and I find these stores all the time, and I just don't have time to edit all of it together because I just rather do it live. It's really fun. I'm gonna end the video now. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out the Patreon. Oh, I also have a second channel in case you really don't like Twitch, which you should. It's less ads than YouTube at this point. But if you do want to see all my previous live streams, it is right there, 4am VODs. They're all there, all game hunting from the last 2 years. It's a lot of footage. Okay, bye.